push for the postseason. Just a thought. 877-867-1670. Again, 877-867-1670. I just rather interesting. You don't have the Browns schedule in front of you, do you, Ben? By any chance?
I do, actually.
You do? Give me the Browns schedule. Let's talk about the Browns schedule without Deshaun Watson for the first 11 games.
So the games he will play in, he gets one game against each of the division foes, which could actually end up as significant. They finished the season in Pittsburgh. Second to last week, they are in Washington. Third to last, they host the Saints. They have the Ravens before that. They are in Cincinnati to face the Bengals. The Texans is the first game he's back. So those 6 games, Texans, Bengals, Ravens, Saints, Commanders, Steelers are the ones he'll play in. I mean, they face the AFC East, so you get the Bills there, but you also get the Jets, and maybe the Dolphins are better. It seems kind of manageable, even though their division is tough. With Lamar back for the Ravens, the Steelers should be okay, and then obviously the Bengals with Burrow. It seems semi-manageable overall.
So if you're just tuning us in, by the way, the Browns, Deshaun Watson suspended 11 games. That was the agreement that came down between his people, the Browns, and the NFL. And he would then be eligible to come back technically week 13 after their bye. So I'm trying to look at their schedule. Okay, here's their schedule. So they play on the road in Carolina to open things up. They're a pretty good football team, and Carolina's been a team that's in flux. Do they win that game? That's a 50-50 maybe. I think they beat the Jets. The Steelers are kind of an enigma. I don't know what to make of the Steelers as of right now. Life after Ben Roethlisberger and such. I know there's some optimism. There's always optimism. The Steelers are a historic team, so their fan base always has an expectation, much like the Packers fans do. But what's the reality of Pittsburgh at this point? They didn't look good the other night. I know that when I was watching their preseason game. But then again, they're not playing a ton of starters at this point. You're trying to keep TJ Watt and company healthy. So my assumption is the Browns, that game is at home. I'll take the Browns in that one. They play on the road against Atlanta, just an awful team. They should get a win there. They'll get beat by the Chargers. Excuse me. Probably get beat by the Patriots. Probably get beat by the Ravens. Probably get beat by the Bengals. Maybe they get a win over the Dolphins, although it's really going to depend on what kind of a season 2 is having at that point. They're going to lose to the Bills. They're going to lose to the Buccaneers, and he comes back to face the Texans. So what was that? 4 wins, 4-7 at that point. I think their season's going to be pretty much gone. I think at the end of this year, I could be wrong, but I think at the end of this year, it'll be just, hey, get him back, get him playing some football, get him on the right path, and then look more towards 2023 if you're a Cleveland Browns fan. Just kind of going through things in my head here, to be honest with you. So, this is from Mark. Mark says, I think it's a travesty that Deshaun Watson is allowed to come back into the NFL this season and to make money on top of it. What does this say about women and the care they have for women? They talk about breast cancer and such. When they sell the pink ribbons and sell the pink jerseys, but only a minuscule amount of proceeds actually go to breast cancer awareness and or research. The NFL is all hypocritical. It's all about the money. They were afraid of maybe what Watson would reveal. No, I don't think so. I think what they were afraid of was it's not what Watson would reveal. It's what would come out and the pressure that would be put on them in their own ranks. More so than anything. Remember the judgment when it originally came down. The judge kind of chastised ownership for not, how do I put this? For not basically governing themselves. They want to talk about coming down hard on players and personal conduct and such, and the morality that they seek and the protect the shield. But the judge kind of wagged the finger in a backhanded way at the owner, saying, "You don't even do it to yourselves. You've got owners out there running amok. Okay, you've got one owner who's reported to not only cheat other owners, but has cheated people that have passed away and their families. You've got one owner that has had afternoon, ended up coming in a couple under, and still were able to imbibe and enjoy some cigars after the fact. So thanks to those guys. Thanks to our friends from Quick Trip. When you stop into Quick Trip, right now the Mountain Dew game's still going on. You can win some cash, win some prizes, but don't forget, use your Quick Rewards card when you're there as well. That's our friends at Mountain Dew. That's our friends over at Quick Trip. Thanks to them for being a part of the program. Pete Doherty, the Green Bay Press Gazette, coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, make it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Make it, rock it.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks to our friends over there at Albanese's Roadhouse. Joey, right there in Waukesha, Wisconsin. If you're looking for some great Italian food, that's the place to go. Albanese's Roadhouse, also bocce ball tonight. I know that. I know that for a fact. They have bocce ball on Thursday nights. You can drive by there and see a whole, just a cast of people outside doing the bocce ball thing. Otherwise, all you got to do is swing in and get some great food, great beverages. Say hi to Joey. That's Albanese's Roadhouse, Blue Mountain Road in Waukesha, right there next to Menards. Tell them we said hi. Time now to go to the hotline. Our buddy Pete Doherty, the Green Bay Press Gazette, at Pete Doherty over on Twitter, joining us on the hotline. Pete, how you doing?
Pretty good, Bill. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Let me start off with the meeting that was wide receivers, Aaron Rodgers. What was your takeaway after guys talked about that a little bit?
It sounds like it's something they don't regularly do. So, it didn't hurt. I would have thought, and I think in the past, I thought it was something where they had the receivers and the quarterbacks in the same room, at least once a week. And so maybe if nothing else, the Packers learned that this might not be the worst idea to do this once a week from here on out, just to make sure everybody's thinking the same. Because it is, I think there's a lot of truth to it. Hearing it from a coach, of course, helps, and they coach guys up and all that. But to actually go through it with the guy who's pulling the trigger, and any differences that he's thinking, any nuances there, is probably valuable. So I wonder if Matt LaFleur picked up something there, and it's something that he might continue doing for the rest of the season, once a week or so.
Is Aaron overwhelmingly frustrated with what's gone on wide receiver wise? Is there a hey guys, we need to get it in gear. We're only a few weeks away from the regular season here now.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I think everything he does and says is calculated, through the media when he's talking to the media. So the week before, he had gone, the first couple of weeks, he had gone out of his way to, say, hey, these mistakes are good. I really like how things are going. And then I think he just did this to send a message that the regular season is going to crank up here pretty soon, and it's for real, and just to get everybody on high alert. I think it was more a calculated thing. Yeah, I'm sure they were making mistakes in practice. I don't know if it was any worse than, the other weeks, but I think it was just a calculated move by him, just to, put a burr in all the receivers' saddle,
What about what has stood out to you so far? Because there's a lot of young faces, there's a lot of new faces, there's a lot of shuffling going on. The offensive line has been a work in progress. New wide receivers, new faces, young guys on the defensive front. What has stood out to you overall so far in camp?
You know, it's the same thing that if you've been reading the stories by everybody and following Twitter from people at practices, it's pretty much the same thing you're seeing. The defense has definitely been the dominant side of the ball in practice. But, you know, offense has had its moments, it's had its days, but the defense, that they're getting a lot of pressure up front. I think Jaron Reed might be a pretty solid player and a nice addition for them. Their pass rush, their front seven just seems better, more active, more explosive. And, you know, on offense, I mean, they're doing a lot of two-back stuff. So I think the ball is going to be in 33 and 28. It's going to be in their hands a lot this season, handing the ball off, throwing screens, throwing checkdowns. I wouldn't be stunned if both of those guys put up, I don't know, close to 1,500 yards each running and passing. I mean, I think they're going to be a huge part of that offense.
That was going to be my next question. I know a lot of people nationally say, well, you know, they're going to have to run the ball more. They're going to be becoming a running offense. And my argument to that is there's no way in hell they're going to take the ball out of the MVP's hands. My thought is you're going to see more motion, more guys schemed open. And I'm not going to say it's a short passing game, but it's going to become, to me, almost more traditional West Coast offense, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. That made me, just as you were saying that made me think back to Mike Holmgren's first few years when they didn't have much of a running game. And they basically used the check down and the swing passes and the short passes as their running game. And I think that's probably what a lot of what this team will be doing. A lot of quick outs, I think LaFleur calls it quick game. We'll probably see, you know, a lot of quick game until teams take that away, and then they'll take their deep shots. I do think their run ratio will probably go up from what it's been. But the bigger thing for them is just to get their two best playmakers are their two running backs. So you get the ball in their hands by hook or by crook, whether you hand it to them or throw it to them, it doesn't matter.
Right. Now I want to go back to the defense because you had talked a little bit about that. So I wanted to, while it was fresh in my mind, the young guys on defense obviously had a tremendous amount of depth, and there's a lot of optimism there. I think everybody, you know, I've even read some of your stuff that has said the biggest concern obviously is the outside linebacking position depth, and then the backup at say safety, that depth there is. Do you think the backup outside linebacker right now is on this squad, or do you think they're going to be efforting outward once cutdown day happens?
I still am tempted or inclined to think the latter. Now, their fifth-round pick, that Enigbare, he had a really good week this week against the Saints and had some good pass rushes. Mostly, you know, going more against the twos than the ones, but still he looked pretty decent. But especially stopping the run. You know, like when they signed Merciless last year, he made his bones in the league as more of a pass rusher, but he was an older guy. Actually, what he added till he got hurt was he gave him a little more stout, a third stout guy on the edge. And so it sure looks like they're going to need some of that because, you know, Preston Smith and Gary, I mean, you can't, even if they stay healthy all year, you know, you can't put them out there every snap. I don't think you want them over, 80% of the snaps or so. So there's going to be another guy or two out there, and those guys have to hold up, or defenses are just going to attack them, going to run right at them, run boots at them, and all that. So I still wonder, unless, you know, Enigbare keeps just taking off here, I still wonder if they'll need to somehow or other, you know, either through trade or, a waiver pickup when somebody gets cut like Merciless did, need to add somebody at that spot.
Talking with Pete Doherty, the Green Bay Press Gazette. You can find him on Twitter at Pete Doherty. So going back to the secondary, now the opposite side of the coin is, if you look at all the starters, this team's pretty solid. I get all the time, are they a top 5, top 3 defense? Well, their scoring defense wasn't great last year. So what does this defense potential have, Pete? I mean, let's just say you don't get a lot of injuries, and the injuries they do have are not nagging to the point that guys are down for long periods of time. How good do you think this defense can be?
So you never know till you see him playing, you know, a chunk of real games, 5 or 6, something like that.
Right.
But kind of just watching practice, And, I've been going out to these camps for 30 years. I think they're going to be pretty good. If they don't, now you're right. The health is huge. If they don't have any injuries, I think they have a legit shot at being a top 5 scoring defense, which is, that's where you want to be. It's about the points more than the yards. And I think they would have a legit shot at being a top 5 defense, which would mean their defense could win them some games, which they're going to need, because they're just not going to be as dynamic this year as they were the last couple of years, I wouldn't think.
What about this special teams unit, whether it's punt team, kick team, coverage teams, what have you, returning? How much better, how much better do you think they'll be? I mean, I love Bisaccia and the fact that he's got the energy and the fact that he's going to throw the gloves on and be a long snapper himself. And he's going to say, look, if I can do it, you can do it. And if you can't do it, get the hell out of here. I mean, he's kind of like taking no prisoners at this point, right?
Yeah, and he's brought a dynamic element to the practices, just the energy. It looks like the attention to the tail is really, really good. But, especially, I mean, that's one group where you can't tell much of anything other than how good the kicker and the punter are by watching practice. The proof in that will be in the games. And with how things have gone on special teams here on and off for, 25 years or so, I mean, they're guilty until proven innocent, so we'll just have to see it on the field.
What about Mason Crosby? Give me your thoughts there, because I know he, kicking a soccer ball around the other day, and obviously has not had the meaningful reps right now in the preseason. But thoughts on Crosby?
Yeah, when camp started, he made it sound like there was a chance that he might miss all of camp, but that he could do that and kick in the first game. And I think he's doing more than, everything he's doing is inside the Hudson Center where, that's out of the public eye and the eyes of reporters. So I'm sure he's doing some kind of kicking. He's just not doing it in team drills, with everybody out there and stuff. O'Donnell looks like a really good holder, really good. So I think the operation will be fine as long as the long snapper's okay. So I'm inclined to say with a guy with Crosby's experience, it should be okay. You never know if the need really is an issue and this didn't solve it, then that's a whole different thing and they got a real problem. But, a guy with Crosby's experience, I would think he can pick right up as long as he's still able to get pretty good work in, which it sounds like, which he says he has. We'll find out when the games start, but it doesn't seem like the Packers are very worried, and I don't see obvious cause for alarm until he comes out and misses some kicks.
Real quick before I let you go, I wanted to ask you about, overall, they had these 2 practices against the Saints. Rodgers doesn't like it. More teams are going to it. You try to get more out of it. I know they're vanilla, but it's still going against another guy that wants to knock your block off and make a team. Give me your thoughts on the joint practice.
Yeah, I know Rodgers doesn't like it, and I'm sure he's got good reasons for it. And he feels like he can get more work done in the more controlled circumstance of regular practice. And most everything teams do is to make life better for the quarterback. But this is one instance where I think I get why coaches and GMs want these joint practices, because you get to see guys against other guys, against schemes that you're not going to see, that you don't see in practice every day. So it's not the same. It gets real monotonous at camp because you're always seeing the same offense against the same defense for the players. So to see somebody else, I think, is really good for them, and it helps with evaluating players. And you get a sense, because sometimes, the game comes down to matchup. And so a player might have a good matchup, against the Packers secondary. So you got to see him against somebody else's secondary to see if he's for real. And like Romeo Doubs, for instance, he's getting open just as often against the Saints as he is in Packers practice. So it confirms things like that. So I don't know. If I'm a coach or a GM, I'm doing the joint practices, and just, the quarterback just has to, just live with it for a couple of days.
Always good to chat, my friend. We appreciate it, and I'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Sounds good, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, pal. There you go. Pete Doherty, the Green Bay Press-Gazette, joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Going to step away, take a quick break, broadcasting live at Luxe Golf Bays. We are here in Franklin, Wisconsin. Going to come back with the owner of this place and talk a little bit about this, the motorcycle ride coming up, the complex itself down here. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show live down here in Franklin coming up right after this. I know. It's played really well. We got over 4,000.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Catch all the racing action at Road America. Camping and corporate events available as well. Go to roadamerica.com for all the information. Road America, America's national park of speed.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Get that if I have to go.
Yeah. Welcome back to the program. We are glad to have you. Our reminder coming up on Sunday, September 4th. In case you did not know, for whatever reason, it is the 15th annual poker run benefiting Fisher House, Wisconsin. Again, Sunday, September 4th. It's brought to you by our friends at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. Bud Light, a big spot. They've been with us all 15 years, as a matter of fact, and beyond. Also, Potawatomi Hotel Casino, MKE Brewing. And then obviously the Rock Complex down here in Franklin, our friends at Alpine Valley, Knucklehead out in Eagle, and as I had mentioned before, Growth Law Firm, our friends at Buzzard Billy's out in La Crosse, Great Lakes Dragaway down in Union Grove, and our friends Cane & Cane Jewelers up north in West Bend. So thanks so much for being a part of it. If you're watching us on the Bud Light live stream right now, you can scan the QR code if you want to get registered, or if you know somebody else that rides, send it to them. Otherwise, go to fisherhousewi.org, and get signed up. Go to the events page, and the link is right there. So there you have it. Coming back down here, and welcome to those of you watching on the Bud Light live stream and listening all throughout the state. Mike Zimmerman, who owns this beautiful complex down here. How you doing, man?
Good, man.
This is pretty. I was saying earlier, I've never done this.
Yeah.
So I've been to a couple of simulators, but I've never done this. And this complex, now you're not fully open yet. You guys have had a bunch of people coming through and getting kind of the preview. We're getting a preview here today. You're doing the big party on Friday night. But so where did this start? Did it start off into the distance at the ski hill or baseball stadium? Where did this whole thing start to begin with?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it started about 7 years ago. When we started to talk about, what do we want to do here? What types of activities? And I'm a big lover of Topgolf, which is
okay.
For those people that have been to a Topgolf, they'll know exactly what this thing is. So I'm like, how hard can that be? But it turns out it's super hard to do. It took us 7 years to do it, but there's a lot of differences. But yeah, 7 years ago we had the space, we had the parking, which is a big piece of the puzzle here. But we also, it's part of Ballpark Commons investment thesis. It's part of our partnership with Franklin.
Right.
We're trying to create activities that are kind of infused around entertainment. Right next door to us is the stadium, we've got the fitness center, we've got, like you said, the ski hill. So this is going to be the darling of the development, though, I think.
What was the first development you had here? Was it the ski hill or was it the ball fields?
Yeah, so it started out with I was leasing the property with from Milwaukee County Parks, which included the ski hill, and that's been in existence since the 80s. So we took that over. It's now run by Little Switzerland, great operators. But in the beginning, it was just baseball fields and the umbrella bar.
Okay. Yeah, and then you guys decided, oh, by the way, we're going to put a baseball team in here.
Yeah.
So now you got the Milwaukee Milkmen.
Got the Milkmen. Yeah, it's also the home of the UWM Panthers, the only D1 program in the state. Which,
by the way, for those that did not know, you guys held a game and did some charity fundraising for the Fisher House, which was a wild success. So we appreciated that.
Yeah, no, it is our pleasure. That's a big piece of what we do. I mean, Rock Ventures, it's ROC, and the ROC stands for Return on Community. So a big piece of what we do is, to help other charities. And, we're kind of the stage, the amplifier, get their message out.
Which was fantastic. And then you decided to build this. But you had mentioned the fitness facility. You've got a fitness facility in here. You've got, correct me if I'm wrong, you have therapy here as well?
We do. Yeah, we've got the YMCA. They've got a brand new fitness model. For people that have been there, they know exactly what I'm talking about. But for people that haven't, I encourage you to check it out. It's kind of their newer model. It's not the YMCAs that you think about. It's more couture. It's a smaller footprint, good energy, good vibe. And then physical therapy done by Exos is over there too, along with the Midwest Orthopedic Group, MOSH.
And then you have also a coffee bar that also has a few spirits in it.
Yeah, blend. So coffee by day, cocktails by night, kind of higher end cocktails, martinis.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I heard this in the wind, but I got really excited because there is a cigar bar or a cigar lounge.
Somebody already leaked that to you, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Third floor, it's going to be here.
Oh, I know. I was out of my mind because the first thing I said was we got to do a dinner down here. We got to do one of the cigar dinners down here.
Yeah, we're going to do a cigar lounge here. Yep. It's going to be part of Luxe. It's going to be on the third floor, so you'll be able to, we're building a patio. It's going to have great sight lines, so we'll have you out
awesome.
again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's in my wheelhouse. So if you want to come here, you can do which I find fascinating because, like I said, I've never done this before. We just wave your club in front of this thing, the ball pops out, you're good to go. And whether you want to hit irons, drivers, what have you, and then obviously the different targets that are out there. And for those that are watching on the Bud Light live stream, you can see exactly what it is we're talking about right now. And I talked about it a little bit earlier, but now you do this for groups, you do this for corporate affairs, you do, I mean, just about anything you do. Charities,
parties, a lot of bachelor parties. We've got an event space that holds, 175, 200, kind of depending on the setup. We're doing a full buyout for a corporation. We've got Crohn's here tomorrow. That's got a group of 400. So it can be as small as a birthday party, bachelor party, up to a huge corporate event.
Now, I did want to make a mention because we talked about the motorcycle ride coming in. It's the first time we've ever done anything like this. And you always think of motorcycle riders going bar to bar. It's always biker bars. But what I've found is they really love something different. So you've opened up the umbrella bar for us. You got a band that's going to be playing that day. But when we kind of brought this to the forefront, you're like, bring it, anything to help veterans, military members, their families, and to not only give you exposure, but to put that many people, that mass of people into one particular, area on the first leg of the ride. You're like, we'll do it. No problem, which was great. We appreciate it.
No, we appreciate it. Like I said, it's a piece of what we do. We got the parking. And if it's bars people want, we sure got that. I think there's going to be 4 or 5 of them on site. So we're going to have, the umbrella bar is going to be the main place, but we're going to open Luxe if people want to. I know you guys are going to be here for about maybe an hour max.
Hour or two. So, no, we'll be about because there's only 3 stops this year.
Okay.
So we gave them the whole day so they could come and enjoy this place because the complex itself is so big that we thought, if it's going to take you time, 10, 15 minutes to walk from place to place and get a little exercise in, you want to come over and play golf, you want to get a beer, you want to go down by the Milkman Field, you want to see that. We wanted to make sure we gave people plenty of time to just absorb all of this.
Yeah, it's still going to be tough to get everything in here in 2 hours, but it's going to be a heck of a time. And I think people that aren't on a bike, come on out and check it out and see the stuff that see this ride, learn more about the charity. So yeah, it's going to be a great day. We're looking forward to it.
The biggest thing I'm getting is people want to see the ride come in. And I'm finding that now more and more families of riders, and they're looking for the best vantage point. So we know there's going to be some construction that's going to begin next week down in this area. We haven't figured out, specifically how to come in yet.
Also see the U.S. Bank building from up there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, well, that'd be another hell of a view, I guess, to watch all the bikes come in.
It's tough to get up there, though.
Well, for you and I, but anybody with actual stamina could probably do it, no doubt. Micah, it's a great complex. Best of luck to you on this. I can't wait. As a matter of fact, Chris and I were talking about it today about bringing the kids down and just coming down and making a day of it and hanging out down here. This is awesome, man. This is fantastic.
Yeah, the golf is we're actually fully open now. This is our last day of soft opening, and then tomorrow it's the grand opening. We're doing a huge firework display, probably like the 5th largest in the state.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be terrific.
Packers games will be on, I'm sure.
Absolutely. You know how many TVs we've got here? It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be everywhere, so it's going to be fun.
Good stuff. Mike, I appreciate it, man. We look forward to the ride coming up in a couple of weeks. And thanks for bringing us out, man. This is just absolutely
thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. Mike Zimmerman joining us here. We're going to go ahead and come back. We got a lot more coming up. Paul Charchian here in about 10, 15 minutes as well, talking some fantasy football. We'll be back right after this.
So I got Derek trying to find a way to slip
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I give that a 2.99.
Okay. Hey, Dad.
What's wrong?
That woman over there. Don't look.
What did she do?
She judged my dive. Gave it a 2.99. Isn't that weird?
Hey, that's Gina Della from Pella. I'm going to find out what this is all about. Excuse me. Why are you judging my daughter's diving? I know who you are.
I'm sorry? Judging?
Yeah, she said you yelled out.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about her. I was finalizing this month's special at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. That's funny.
What's special?
Pay only 2.99% interest for 10 years.
On new Pella windows. Really? 10 years?
Yep.
But it's the middle of summer. You can't get a deal on installing new windows during the warmest season.
You can at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Oh, 2.99.
Dad?
Oh, not you, sweetheart. The deal at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. 2.99% for 10 years.
Visit PellaWI.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers are making more roster moves before tomorrow night's preseason game here at Lambeau Field against the Saints. Green Bay has re-signed receiver Travis Fulgham, who was in their training camp for a brief time in 2020, then went on to lead the Eagles in yards receiving that season. They've waived Malik Taylor, who's been hampered by a shoulder injury. Taylor beat out Jake Kummerow for a roster spot back in 2019. The Saints got back their top receiver, Michael Thomas, after after spending the past year recovering from ankle surgery.
The program that the teams have me on with Coach DA and the training staff that they've had me on, it's really allowed me to start slowly transitioning and getting back to my old self and getting the flow for the game. And being out here in these joint practices allows me to compete against another guy, work on some technique, and just get back to the real thing.
Aaron Rodgers was critical of the Packers' young receivers on Tuesday. Randall Cobb on what the quarterback was referring to.
It's about taking what you learn in the meetings and applying it in an individual to the team periods and seeing that natural progression. And once we get into the preseason game, doing the same thing we talked about and seeing it, because the film doesn't lie. When you watch the film, you see it. It's either you did it or you didn't do it. And there's nothing else you can say.
Matt LaFleur on what needs to be addressed on the Packers offense.
There's going to be growing pains, particularly with younger players. And the thing is, and I appreciate this about Aaron, it's just the urgency to get some of this stuff corrected. I mean, you can't make the same mistake twice. Not in this league. We don't have time for it.
That's Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program. Bill Michaels Show. We're broadcasting live at Luxe Golf Bays down here in Franklin, Wisconsin. A beautiful place. And thanks to Mike Zimmerman for joining us, the owner down here. They have the ski hill. They have, obviously, the umbrella bar, which is a really a big attraction, specifically in the summertime. And then, which is ski hills, obviously, the big attraction in the wintertime. And anyway, long story short, they got a lot of different stuff down here. Big time. Real quick, for those that did not know, the Deshaun Watson, they've reached an agreement with the NFL. He's going to get 11 games. And I know for some that's not enough. For some, they really don't care. But Deshaun Watson, on why he accepted a settlement if he claims he's innocent. He said, quote, "I've always been able to stand on my innocence and always said I never assaulted or disrespected anyone. But at the same point, I have to continue to push forward with my life and career. For everybody that was affected by this situation, there were a lot of people that were triggered," Deshaun Watson had to say as to why he apologized. The backlash on this is basically, this is a guy that doesn't get it. This is a guy that he just doesn't get it. And this is part of the problem with when you have Deshaun Watson after this situation. You know, I get that there's this whole sensitivity training. I get that, they want him to be more understanding as to what he just doesn't get it. So the question after the apology or lack thereof, after all of this has been stated, is there something that would make you say, "Oh yeah, this guy's getting exactly what he deserves. This guy is getting, he gets it. He gets that what he did was wrong. That he's considered a creeper. He's considered a stalker. He's considered a guy that's disreputable." It just, I don't know. Adam Schefter tweeting out last Friday, Deshaun Watson made comments that the NFL thought were an important first step, but the league still expects him to be fully compliant with his treatment and accept accountability and understand his behavior. Okay, well, he then 30 seconds into his press conference, he said, I'm apologizing because a lot of people were triggered. In other words, I didn't do anything wrong. It's just you people got upset. He's an idiot. He's just an idiot. I don't know how else to put it. Then the Browns owner, Jimmy Haslam, was asked if he'd go back and sign Deshaun Watson all over again. He said, quote, "Absolutely." And adds, "People deserve second chances. Does he get no chance to rehabilitate himself? We gave Kareem Hunt a second chance. That worked out pretty well. from Jimmy Haslam's perspective, first of all, what's he supposed to say? That's his quarterback, and he's guaranteed him $230 million. Is he supposed to say at this point, there's no way in hell I would take this on anymore? No. I think Jimmy Haslam would do it. Quite honest. I think he's being 100% truthful. And I don't think Jimmy Haslam give two damns about what Deshaun Watson's accused of doing. Jimmy Haslam has never been, for the most part, the most reputable person out there anyway. So do I think that Jimmy Haslam is the man? No, I don't take anything he says with any modicum of seriousness and or intelligence. He's built a hell of a businessman, but no, he's invested $230 million guaranteed into this creeper. I think I shouldn't say what everybody, maybe because I don't know. But I'll say this, I think there are a lot of people out there right now that are rooting hard against the Cleveland Browns because of this. The Browns have become somewhat of a pariah now. And when they had the preseason game in Cleveland the other day, Ben, did you hear what the fans were chanting?
I remember seeing the video. I forget the specifics of it.
It was pretty derogatory against Deshaun Watson. And that's the Cleveland fans. Pac fan says he's not a creeper. Oh, he's a creeper. Yeah, he's trolling the internet for massages from well over 30 plus women. Come on. And then after all of this, after all the accusations that come out, oh yeah, he's a creeper. I don't know what you define as a creeper, Pac fan, or what you have to do to be considered a creeper, but he's a creeper. Or if you want to say it's more strong than that, then I would agree with you. By the way, it was the Jaguar fans that were ripping them, by the way, not just Cleveland Browns. But there are Cleveland Browns fans that are pretty upset about it, that I know, because I got a couple of them that are friends of mine, if you can believe that. But coming up after the top of the hour, it is fantasy football time. Our buddy Paul Charchian. If you got a question for Paul Charchian, bring it now. Bring it now. 877-867-1670. We're going to talk some fantasy football as you get ready for your draft. Coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show. So really, really good stuff. It's time. I'm so happy to get him back, and I'm so happy that it's that time of year because I get to talk to him over and over again. But our buddy Paul Charchian is on the line. Charch, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing great, Bill. Good to talk to you again. And it's for the first time ever, you and I are in the same fantasy league. This is really fun.
I am giddy. I have got my queue filled with players. I was kind of going through my roster so far with Joe Burrow, Adam Thielen, and Deebo Samuel to this point. The draft still continues, so I'm excited. And it's the first time I've had my own fantasy team in over 20 years.
Oh, my God. Wow. Holy cow. The game's very different now
right.
than it was 20 years ago. And you are in for a treat. And I like your draft so far because people tend to feel compelled to take running back, and they always go earlier than they should. And you've been able to make 3 good selections of very safe, productive players. And in a guillotine league, you're just looking for safety. You just don't want to finish last in any given week. And Joe Burrow, Adam Thielen, Deebo Samuel are guys that fill box scores every week.
So let's talk first and foremost about the Guillotine League because most people know different fantasy, websites, but the Guillotine League is a little different. It's a twist on fantasy. So explain to people exactly what it is that may not be familiar.
Yeah, it is a new twist, and it's great for people who've been playing the same way for a long time, Bill. The idea is you start with 18 teams because there's 18 teams 18 weeks in the season. There's no head-to-head. Instead, every week, the low-scoring team for that week gets chopped from the league forever, and their players go to the waiver wire where the rest of us feast on a whole draft's worth of players. So in a traditional fantasy league, the waiver wire is like, I'll try this backup run. The starters got a pinched nerve, and maybe that'll pay off. But in here, it's a totally different scenario. At the end of any given week, here comes a whole draft of players. So it might be like Najee Harris and Tyreek Hill and Kyler Murray and Nick Chubb and DK Metcalf. I mean, you're like, wow. And pretty soon you start compiling together an amazing team. And and all you have to do is not finish last. So it's a new mentality. It's a new way to play, and super fun. I can't wait for you to experience it firsthand.
So let's start, Paul, with some of the bets. For the news comes out about Deshaun Watson today, and not many people taking him in a fantasy league. But
yeah,
you can't help but think that somewhere down the road there's going to be some kind of a value there. Correct, or am I incorrect in that thinking?
I don't like him. I don't like that. Well, okay, I don't like him, but
right.
Beyond that, here's the thing. So this thing's going to play out. At the earliest he can come back is week 13. And for much of the next, if I've got this straight, they've changed it. For most of his suspension, he will not be able to be with the team. So he's going to come back with a certain amount of rustiness when he does come back. And then he won't have played for the better part of 2 years. So does he walk in and immediately be great? Man, it seems unlikely. And granted, last time we saw him, he was a freakish athlete. He could run around and, do some special stuff, and maybe that'll be there. But am I really going to trust him? So at this stage, it's early December. I'm heading into the playoffs. Am I really going to trust him to put it all together for my playoff run when I probably got a quarterback that got me into position for the playoffs? I don't think so. So I'm off him. There's not scenarios here where I want him. So I just think there's too many things that all have to come together in a short window for me to want Deshaun Watson this year.
So let's start with a couple of guys that I have questions about. You look at a guy like DK Metcalf and the wide receiving core out in Seattle. You don't have Russell Wilson anymore. We know the talent of the receivers, but without the guy throwing them the football, how good are they really going to be? How do you really determine whether or not it's them or it's the quarterback, or they have to have the combination to be that good as they've been in the past?
Well, here's the one saving grace on DK Metcalf. And obviously Russell Wilson to Geno Smith is a pretty massive. Geno Smith last year played in 3.5 games where Russell Wilson had a thumb injury for for 3.5 games, and Geno Smith filled in. All he did was throw to DK Metcalf. In those 3.5 games, DK Metcalf was a top 10 fantasy receiver in 3 of the 4 weeks. He was actually at a higher per game average in fantasy points under Geno Smith than he did in Russell Wilson. So I feel like it's pretty safe to go back to DK Metcalf. Seattle is largely rebuilding their whole roster. They're going to be behind a lot. They're going to throw a fair amount. And I'm pretty high on DK Metcalf, who was slumped all the way down in average draft position to the 4th round. He was a guy that last year was going in the 2nd round. So I think there's value there. And I think Geno Smith can get him the ball.
Let's talk about a guy like Cortland Sutton out of Denver. And now I get a feeling that his numbers are going to go up, and that with Russell. Now I know Russell Wilson. They've done a lot of checkdowns. Nathaniel Hackett with a new head coach and offensive coordinator. They're trying to kind of reteach him from scrambling around, trying to make things happen and just take what's given. So do you look at a guy like Cortland Sutton as one of those sleepers to say, look, this guy's going to get some additional productivity?
Yeah, we've been waiting for Sutton and Judy, who both signed enormous deals last year, despite the fact that neither one of them has really put together great seasons in the past. And we've always looked at the quarterbacking they've had and felt like Judy is victims of the quarterbacking. And they probably have. They're both really, really talented. Judy's skill set is way more like Devontae Adams with the footwork and the separation. Cortland Sutton is more of your big-bodied, sideline, contested catch guy. And it feels like, to me, if there's a Nathaniel Hackett carryover here, it might be a little bit more for Judy. They're going up the board almost the exact same spot, Judy and Sutton. And so I think it depends on a little bit what you're looking for. I think Sutton is a better touchdown guy, bigger bodied guy. Judy, though, feels like somebody could be sitting on a lot of catches. He could be a chain mover and could be special that way. I like, so I think it depends a little bit on what you're looking for. Safe play might be Judy. The upside play might be Cortland Sutton.
Got an email here, and this is from Chris, obviously a Green Bay Packers fan. He says, but I take Aaron Rodgers usually every year. Should I be taking him again this year with the uncertainty at wide receiver?
Great question. So I say yes, and I've got him as my number 8 ranked wide quarterback this year, and that's about where he's going off the board. Sorry, I've got him he's at 6. I have a number 6 ranked quarterback. I just don't see how he falls out of 32-ish touchdowns. And I know you look at the receivers and you go, all right, well, how do I get to 32 on this set of receivers? And it's not easy, but you just feel like one way or another, Aaron Rodgers is going to cobble together a pretty damn good season. And you may not know which wide receiver it's going to be, who the tight end is going to be, who the players going to be week to week. But you figure at the end of the day, he's just too good. And the receivers are good enough. Maybe Romeo Doubs is the real thing. I mean, maybe this is totally legit preseason hype, and that's going to be a guy that helps unlock the 32-ish touchdowns that we want to get from Aaron Rodgers to justify that kind of ranking. How do you? I mean, more importantly, you tell me how you feel. You're as close to this as anybody. Tell me if you feel like that's overly optimistic by being Pollyanna-ish with Aaron Rodgers.
No, I think that when people keep thinking that they're going to, in some way, shape, or form, not be able to score the way they did last year, I think they're going to score just fine. I think they're going to move the football. I don't think you're going to be seeing him throwing, where you and I, we were talking about this the other day, where I think they're going to suffer is in 2-minute drill. Is if a game is really tight down the stretch and you run the 2-minute drill, the confidence in being able to throw the ball consistently to Davante Adams is not going to be there. And the Davante Adams, to where he didn't get the ball because he was sucking up a double team or even a triple team at times where they're floating safeties and floating an extra corner over to leave somebody else like an Allen Lazard open. That's not going to happen. So to me, where they're going to suffer is not necessarily, in the first, in the full 60 minutes. It's going to be, to me, in the 58 minutes, they're going to be okay. In the 2 minutes, they're going to suffer. That's, to me, where the Packers may suffer a little bit.
Yeah, great point. That matters a lot in fantasy. That's not as important. We care a lot more about the 58 minutes. And Aaron Rodgers has been so good at stealing games that I can see where the 2-minute drill. The 2 minutes does really matter. It's a great point. I think for fantasy use, he still remains. He remains very safe. Doesn't have the. I wish we go roll back the clock for a few years to get back to his rushing upside that he used to have.
Right.
So tell me this. So while we're talking Packers, this week there's stories come out that there could be an even distribution of receptions for the running backs between A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. You buying it?
I think they're going to use them more out of the backfield. What I have seen and what we've read about is they're running a lot of sets where both guys are on the field. And then they'll roll one guy out, whether it's Dillon or Jones, to the opposite side, and then they're going to put them out as a pass receiver and such. I think they're going to do a lot of different things. And to me, it's 5 games. You're going to go for the first 5 games running a lot of different stuff until you figure out what's going to settle in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's do you think they go? Are you suggesting they could go hot hand some games?
I think they're just going to go with whoever's got a better matchup, whoever's got an opportunity, and whoever, because that's what Aaron Rodgers always looks for. He looks for the guy he trusts and the matchup he wants, and that's where he tends to go. And when you look at A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones, Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, and maybe even Sammy Watkins as a veteran to a certain extent, those are the guys he's going to be looking for first. And then after that, it's who's probably got that much trust or a matchup. And that's where he's going to go. I don't think they're going to suffer moving the football. I think they're going to suffer maybe scoring a few points and maybe the downfield passing, the explosive plays, unless guys just, he trusts them enough to say, here, get yards after the catch and go. I think the explosive plays will maybe diminish a little bit. But for the most part, I don't think they're going to struggle moving the football. I did have a question for you, and this is from Jason. Jason says, I'm thinking about George Kittle as my tight end position, but with the uncertainty at quarterback right now, do you think I should take him? Tell me about George Kittle in the tight end position.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get good tight ends. So, yes, go take George Kittle. He is as good as any tight end in the league after the catch. Yeah, fantastic that way, on the field a lot. He does get beat up because of all the blocking. He's one of the few tight ends that is both a great pass catcher and a great blocker. Most of the great ones that we know, like your Travis Kelce's of the world, are not great blockers. Kittle is, so he stays in a lot. He gets banged up that way some, but the explosive plays, and when he's healthy, totally bankable. He's my number 4 ranked tight end, and it's so hard to get good tight ends. So yes, try to go out of your way to go get a tight end. There's exactly and precisely 9 tight ends that I can go to war with, and that is it. And you want to get one of those 9 if you can.
This one is an interesting question in which it stated, I hear so much about Tony. This is from Mark, who says, I hear so much about Tony Pollard over Zeke Elliott. Would you be wise to take Pollard at your running back rather than Zeke?
No, I don't think it would be. For all the frustration we've had with Zeke, who played through an injury all of last year, they still won't. They've established the fact that Pollard brings a lot of electricity to that offense. They do not believe he's a workhorse back. They've proven it for 2 straight years. When Pollard has looked really good, they're not changing their ways, and they have no reason to believe that's going to start now. And so we're going to stick with Zeke. Improved offensive line, which should be an improved offensive line for Dallas as well. So bring in Zeke. Let's get him healthy. He's still going to get 2/3 of the work, and we're gonna stick with Zeke. I like Tony Pollard. I banged the drum for Tony Pollard to get more carries for 2 straight years, and it hasn't happened, and I'm giving up.
Zach says, little nervous about my quarterback position. Is Joe Burrow the real deal after what we saw last year, or is he a one-hit wonder? That's from Zach. I think Joe Burrow is a tremendous quarterback.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. And look at the improvements to the offensive line. I mean, absolutely, massively improved. I don't think there's a justification to believe that he'll be any worse. Offensive line gained Ted Karras, Alex Kappa, and La'el Collins. Pro Football Focus has what was last year's 26th ranked offensive line as their 8th best for this upcoming season. And then you throw in the 3 targets, even if the 3 wide receivers, even if something were to happen to Chase or Higgins or Boyd, they got 2 other great targets to go to. So I'm very, very high on him and feel like Joe Burrow is uber safe. Love him in the Guillotine League format. He'd have to be a pretty sharp guy to draft him.
This is our last one. This is from Aaron listening to us in Manitowoc, and he says, you helped me out a couple of times last year, Charge. Great to have you back on the air. He wants to know, what are your sleeper picks? I need some backup for my bench.
Yeah, so we could do an hour on this. So I'm just going to give you a couple of guys that I'm really excited about as sleepers. None more so than Houston running back Dameon Pierce. he has moved. I loved him going into the draft, and I loved his landing spot in Houston where he could just walk in as the starter. Right now, he is running with the first team offense in Houston. I know people are like, the Houston offense, I don't want any part of Houston's offense. You know what? This offense is going to be a lot better. Davis Mills was a much improved quarterback over the course of the season. I thought he played a lot better. And this is going to be a sneaky, competent offense. And what about Pierce? He's running with the first team. Marlon Mack's not a factor. Rex Burkhead's not a factor. Royce Freeman's not a factor. He's a big body guy. He's going to get goal line work. He can catch. And he's been a star at pass protection, which is one of the things that keeps rookies from starting early in their career many times. But Pierce is showing as a pass blocker. Put all that together, and you can get a starting running back for an NFL team in the 8th round right now, but his stock is going up. On Dameon Pierce, I really like him as one guy to target. And I'll give you one more. The Chargers wide receiver Josh Palmer was a rookie they took in the 2nd round last year. He didn't do much until December, and then he took off in December. Now he's getting all first team reps. We love that passing offense the Chargers have got him. Josh Palmer is their 3rd receiver. He's another guy I'm taking late in drafts as a sleeper that I like a lot. And if he can just do what he did last December throughout a whole season, he's going to be sitting as a top 30 wide receiver.
Awesome stuff. Charge, it's great to have your voice back in the airwaves with us. I look forward to talking to you weekly on the program. Great stuff, buddy, as always, okay?
Thank you. Talk to you later, Bill. Bye-bye.
There you go. That's Paul Charchian. You can follow him on Twitter at Paul Charchian. And you also follow him via the Guillotine Leagues. Guillotine, GUILLOTINE, guillotineleagues.com. That's guillotineleagues.com. When we come back, Rich Bisaccia, the special teams coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, you're going to hear him talking. That's next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
If you're in or near Humboldt, Wisconsin, check out a family success story with a good old-fashioned farm store. Go to ScholzeFamilyBeef.com. That's ScholzeFamilyBeef.com. Catch all the racing action at Road America. Camping and corporate events available as well. Go to RoadAmerica.com for all the information. Road America, America's national park of speed.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Pella's got right now 2.99% APR, 10 years. 10 years they have. And I recommend, you know that. I've been recommending Pella Windows and Doors for a long time because I have them in my home. I use them every day. Whether it's looking out of them or relying on the fact that, one, they're very safe, very secure. They all lock. The doors have the toe kicks that you basically have to drive a truck through the thing. So at night when you're laying your head on your pillow, you're good to go. Meanwhile, they're economical. They keep the heating costs down in the wintertime and the cooling costs down in the summertime. And noise factor, not that I, live in a very noisy neighborhood, but for the most part, it does shield some noise. I love the fact that there's the roll screen that's inside the glass. The slider windows are fantastic, and they're easy to operate. So I can't recommend them enough. It's Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. In today's day and age, society-wise, when interest rates keep going up, why not lock it in right now for 10 years? 2.99%, 10 years, 2.99% right now for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Coming up after the bottom of the hour, we're going to hear from Rich Bisaccia, the special teams coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. Also some things that Randall Cobb had to say in regards to tough love from Aaron Rodgers in regards to the rookies and the younger guys and the new guys to this team. In the meantime, for those of you that are getting ready to drop off because the Milwaukee Brewers are going to be getting it on against the LA Dodgers, don't forget, if you are going to lose the program, I encourage you, many of you I'm finding on almost a daily now are listening to us via the app. You can go to your app store, whether it's your Google Play, your Apple Store, whatever, and download the app. WOZN in Madison, The Zone in Madison. Download the app, and you can catch us. So that's a great way to take us around. You can always go to the website, BillMichaels.com, thebillmichaels.com. You can always obviously find us, on that website. But a great way to listen to the program is on the app, WOZN. I know in Milwaukee, you can catch us on the iHeart app as well. So there's plenty of different ways to hang out and take a listen to us. So all of that's going to be coming up. In the meantime, you do have the Brewers today. A little different. Christian Yelich batting DH and leading off. Willie Adames playing short, batting second. Andrew McCutchen in left today, batting third. Hunter Renfroe, who is still hitting pretty well, although the power numbers are good, but the average is down, hitting .239. He is hitting fourth today in the cleanup spot. Mike Brousseau playing third base and batting fifth. Keston Hiura against a lefty today, almost setting him up for failure. He is batting .246, but in the 186 range when he is facing a lefty. He is batting sixth today, playing first base. Colton Wong is also in the lineup today, and he is over there at second base, and it kind of goes on from there. There you have it. 877-867-1670. Again, 877-867-1670. Oh, by the way, Victor Caratini behind the plate, batting eighth. Tyrone Taylor batting ninth. The last two guys are batting an average collectively of .223. for this ball club with 20 home runs between them. And Christian Yelich leading off, batting .250, 9 home runs. And although he has hit the ball hard in the last 2 games, over the last 2 weeks, it has been almost abysmal. So there you go. You've got Turner, Freeman, Smith, Muncy, Turner, Justin Turner over at third base, batting 5th. Luxe, Gallo, Taylor, and Cody Bellinger back in the lineup. And you talk about 2 guys that have fallen off. Christian Yelich is batting .250 with 9 home runs. At least Cody Bellinger's over 16 home runs on the season. 16 home runs, 50 RBIs, but only batting .206. 2 guys that have just completely fallen off. At least Bellinger still has the power numbers and still hitting with somewhat a modicum of power, where Christian Yelich is just completely fallen off. Completely fallen off. So there you go. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Although today, with Corbin Burns on the hill, Cody Bellinger's hitting .333 against him. Freddie Freeman the same. Justin Turner hitting .500 against him, but he's only had 4 at-bats. So it's not like it's a massive undertaking. And Andrew Haney on the hill today for the Dodgers with that 1.16 ERA. But Willie Adames has faced him 8 times, now hitting .375 with a dinger and a couple of RBI. So not a bad way to go, but very few of the other Brewers have actually faced him. So there you have it. That's the way things line up as American Family Field plays host to the finale between the Dodgers and the Brewers today. When we come back, Rich Bisaccia. He is the special teams coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. You're going to hear from him. You're also going to hear from Randall Cobb, some of the things that he had to say as well. So that is also coming up. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. They are the party place to be during the hometown rally. Oh my goodness, Rolling Milwaukee is going to get underway, and that is Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. No other place to go. The biggest, baddest, best dealership, not only in Milwaukee, but in the state of Wisconsin. They have got 23 bands over a 3-day period. North Stage, South Stage, they've got parties, they've got vendors. Sound Art USA, from what we talked about out in Sturgis, is coming to Milwaukee. They're going to be in the showroom out of Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. You got to go check this stuff out. Not to mention all the food, all the beer, all the vendors, all the drinks, everything else that goes along with it. It's going to be a great time coming up on Labor Day weekend, and that is, again, the hometown rally gets underway, and there's no better place to be than Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. For the entire lineup, all you got to do is go to wishd.com, check out not only the bikes that they have, but they have great apparel. The service is second to none, and the parts department, huge, and if they don't have it, they're going to get it for you in as quick a period of time as you can possibly get, so you're good to go there. That is our friends at wishd.com. That is wishd.com. Wisconsin Harley-Davidson in Oconomowoc, right off of Highway 67. You can't miss it. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. Special teams coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, Rich Bisaccia, coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I give that a 2.99.
Okay. Hey, Dad.
What's wrong?
That woman over there. Don't look.
What did she do?
She judged my dive. Gave it a 2.99. Isn't that weird?
Hey, that's Gina Della from Pella. I'm going to find out what this is all about. Excuse me. Why are you judging my daughter's diving? I know who you are.
I'm sorry? Judging?
Yeah, she said you yelled out.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about her. I was finalizing this month's special at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. That's funny.
What's special?
Pay only 2.99% interest for 10 years.
On new Pella windows. Really?
10 years?
Yep.
But it's the middle of summer. You can't get a deal on installing new windows during the warmest season.
You can at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Oh, 2.99.
Dad?
Oh, not you, sweetheart.
The deal at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, 2.99% for 10 years.
Visit PellaWI.com.
Proof credit.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Broadcasting live down here at the Luxe Golf Bays. We're here, which just opened. So if you're going, what the hell is that? It's the Luxe golf bays here in Franklin, Wisconsin, that just opened. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Epoxy Flooring Done Right, providing Wisconsin home and business owners epoxy flooring coating services and polyurea coating services at great prices, top quality workmanship, colors, finishes, even painting your room full free. They can do that as well. Located in Wisconsin, from Green Bay to Milwaukee to Madison and everywhere in between. Get a hold of my buddy Sean and the gang, epoxyflooringdoneright.com, or call them 262-443-2852, 262-443-2852. There you go. That's our good friend Sean over there at epoxyflooringdoneright.com. Rich Bisaccia, the special teams coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, at the podium. Let's take a listen.
Jason told me it's been required in the league, and what I said to him is that make them request me. He said he would look like a fool if he did that. So because of my love and affection for Jason Wallers, I'm here to take any questions you may have for a very brief time.
Why did you want to come here?
It's just not my role right now. It's time of the year. Getting ready to try to play another preseason game.
Rich, you've turned around a lot of special teams units that you've taken over the years. Since you're taking part of your time away from doing that right now to talk to us, can you tell us how that process is going and maybe how it compares to the other turnarounds you've engineered?
Like the process has been going well. It's moving in the right direction. There's a lot of collaborative effort going into the players that we've brought in and the players that we're coaching and the direction that we're trying to go for different preseason games, from practice to individual drills to group drills. And so I think we're a work in progress, and we'll just hope to keep seeing improvement as we go along.
Rich, how these last 2 days of practice help you with your guys on teams and going against a guy like Darren tomorrow night will help?
Going against who?
Is either from the Saints coordinator?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're not going against each other. We don't play. But the Saints have a tremendous unit. I think they were a top 5, top 7 unit a year ago. We've got some really good players. I thought the practice went really well. It was physical. There was a lot of detail work that got done, especially on the second day. I think we were very deliberate in the drills that we were trying to do. Probably both of us, perspective-wise, we're trying to see body position and hand position and ability to finish type things. We worked hard on the flyers on the outside. So going against a good group like that in a practice where a lot of the guys can get that kind of physical work up close was good for us. And now we'll see how we progress into the game.
How much help has Keyshawn Nixon, Rico Gafford, Donald Levitt, guys who played for you, been able to help you in establishing what these guys want?
Yeah, I think and along with Byron Storer and Michael Spurlock, those guys have all been in the system. Mike has played in it, Byron's played in it, and now to get a chance to get some other players that have been a part of our system, how we like to meet, how we like to finish things, the body position we like to be in, my personality a little bit, to explain that to them maybe when I seem to have an out-of-body experience, that they can kind of they do a good job of bringing the player back in our room. So I think it's been good for us.
Rich, we've heard the term "we fence" for the first time a lot recently. How long have you been using that term, and where did you create it or pick it up?
I don't know if I created it. I'm sure I stole it from somewhere. I'm probably much better at stealing things than I am inventing things. But it's just been something that there was a point in college where there wasn't a lot of attention paid to special teams, and I was fortunate to be with a college coach that thought it should be an emphasis. That one coach, like offense and defense, should be in charge of coming up with the game plan and use the other coaches to coach the players. So when we started to look at the punt team, and you have, like I talked about before, a linebacker next to a tight end, next to a running back, a receiver on one side, it just became, something that we could all do together, right? It wasn't just guys that played on offense or just guys that played on defense. It was something we could all do together to help our team win. And it's just kind of grown from that. Now, Coach LaFleur has done a great job of making it a part of our vernacular around here. I think we're appreciative of that. So that's kind of how it started.
Who was that college coach?
I'd say Sparky Woods at South Carolina.
Rich, how does Mason look kind of as he gets closer to returning?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the timeline. I know he's improved every day, and he's done a good job with Flea and those guys, and so we're just kind of waiting on Flea and him and what his progress is as we get going. So I know he's doing well.
What do you thought of Jack Coco's kind of steady progress that he's made for him?
Yeah, I think it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but we're excited about where he is at this particular point. This will be another big game for him. Practices were a big deal. I think he understands that he's competing against 31 other teams. You know, just because there's not another one here doesn't mean we're not looking at everybody around the league or guys that may not be playing now. So I think he knows he's in constant competition.
Rich, what did you guys see from him, though? Because I know there was such a small sample size from college. What did you like about him that you thought he could potentially be a...
Well, we liked his physical size. We liked that he was a position player in college, and he had tremendous work ethic from what we had seen on tape and people that we had talked to. And I think, again, he's just done a good job with his body and his feet and getting himself in position to compete at the position.
Was it a lot of work for him? So, like, he hadn't done punt snapping in a game since high school. I mean, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, we've had him before. You know, again, if a guy puts his mind to something and works diligently at it, you'd like to think if they have enough aptitude that they can get better at it, and I think he's done that.
You're aware of the season that Amari Rodgers had returning punts last year. What's the process in building him back and getting him to work?
Well, again, I just think he's part of the process. You know, I think he's done a good job learning how to. We expect him to finish in practice, and so consequently, he had a good return in the game. I think he did a good job setting it up. I think there were some really good blocks on that particular play, but I think he's in competition as well with all the other guys that we have, along with other players around the league.
What's the biggest growth you've seen from where your special teams unit was at the beginning of camp to where you guys are now? I know there's still ways to go, but what's the biggest growth that you've seen so far this camp?
Yeah, great question. I think we're trying to learn how to finish. I think it's a big thing for us. I think we're trying to figure out what the exact body position should look like, and then how to finish each one of those particular plays. What body position to be in the beginning, what body position to be in at the end. I'd like to see our roll call to the ball at the end of each play get a little bit better as we go along.
Hey, Rich, Pat was telling us the other day that he likes the fact that in your system he can just kick away often. I'm sure there's some directional, but it's not all directional. What is your thinking on when you want to be directional and when you just want to let it kick away?
Yeah, I just think we'll kind of keep that to us. But good question. Hopefully Pat doesn't give you too much information. I like to talk to him. He just had a base. You know.
This was a couple weeks ago. We hadn't had a chance.
Yeah, see, before the baby. Now he's not talking anymore. Now he's had the baby.
Rich, a guy that you had last year with Oakland, had a lot of intensity during the joint practice this week with Rasul. How have you seen him kind of handle that intensity that he shows in practice? Rasul Douglas.
Oh, yeah, we did have him last year. And I'm a big fan of Rasul and not only the way in which he practices on the field, but the way in which he deals with young players in the meeting room. And when he's talking to them in the locker room, a lot of times you'll see him onto the side talking to guys when somebody else is out there on the field. He was really good for me, particularly, you know, in Vegas. And now to be a part of him and what he's done with the turnaround for his career, you know, he's won a Super Bowl. And he's been on the street and he's bounced from team to team. So to get up and talk to our team about some of those things also is really big. I think he's been through some adversity. Certainly you can see what his identity looks like now going through the adversity. So I think he's certainly the power of example for us in our room.
How important is it to have starters, whether it be defensive or offensive side of the ball, to set the tone like that on special teams?
You know, the starter thing is for me, has always been a little bit of a pet peeve. I just think we're all looking for players. We're trying to put together the best roster we possibly can, and then on game day we're trying to put together the best 48 that can go out and help us win. And I think there's a part for everyone in what we're trying to do to win a game. So I don't look at it like that with them. I'd rather not put a starter that plays 72 plays on defense have to cover 4 punts. Not put a starting defensive player that's been out there for a 6-play drive or a 12-play drive or a 6-minute drive and now flip around, have to play on kickoff return. So I think all the time, but I think there's places for all of our players to help us be in position to win the game, whether it's offensively, defensively, or defensively.
Hey, Rich, you mentioned Byron and Michael bringing you back when you have your out-of-body experiences. Obviously, it's your player's job and our job to adjust to you. How do you think the process has gone for them kind of understanding the way you coach, how much you care, and how much you get after their asses? Because when we talk to guys that have played for you in the past, whether it's Dallin or Alec Ingold, they all swear by you, but I'm wondering if it's a process to understand the caring and the
I definitely think it's a process, right? Life is a process, but I think for me, the great John Wooden, until they know you care, they don't really care what you know, right? And I think over my time, I've tried to adopt that. And I think that if they can understand that every word that comes out of my mouth is to honor their dreams and for what they want to do, what they want to accomplish, then I think they take more about what I'm saying sometimes than how I'm saying it. And I think that's what Byron probably and Mike do a good job of, is going back to them and going, let me tell you what he's trying to say. I'll try to do a good job of circling back all the time, but because I have those two, and I've known Mike, I recruited Mike out of high school, so I've known Mike since he's 17. And then, Byron was a free agent, and Byron got it about as bad as I've ever given it to anyone. And he becomes our starting fullback and plays on teams. And so I think having those two guys that have played in the system, have been around me, they do a good job with players, especially some of the younger guys.
There you go. That's Rich Bisaccia, the special teams coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, talking to the media. Big fan of Rasul Douglas. I get a lot of questions about Rasul. He's going to be the nickel back this year. And he had a solid season for the Packers last year. I'm not a wholly sold believer. I'm becoming one. And Bisaccia loves the guy. But to me, he still needs to give me another consistent season before I become 100% bought in on what Rasul Douglas is going to bring to the table. So there you go, Rich Bisaccia. This portion of the program being brought to you by our friends over there at New Mail Medical, treating guys with ED all over the state of Wisconsin and beyond the borders, as we say. Call them 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. That's the New Mail Medical Center, the medical experts, and they can all but guarantee that they can help you out with ED, erectile dysfunction. But you can't do anything if you don't call. And there's a lot of others out there that are trying to mimic and do what they do, but there's only one, and they are the originals. They're the ones that do it best. That's New Mail Medical Center. When it comes to low T treatments, they got you covered. They can help you out. If you're over the age of 30 and you're feeling tired, sluggish, moody, whatever, they got you covered there. And then there's the all-in-one weight loss program, and I have sworn by this for a long time. And back on the wagon, and after all that I've had done to my back and the procedures and such, it's really, really good to be feeling good again and to have started back on the program. So I really thank the New Mail Medical Center for all that they've been able to do. Again, 414-455-4451. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's
Packers and the Saints wrapped up their 2 days of joint practices, getting ready for tomorrow night's preseason game. It was sunny and warm and 80 degrees. 2 camp fights broke out. The Saints dismissed wide receiver Jarvis Landry after he got into an altercation with Packers defensive back Eric Stokes. Was Stokes expecting it?
Of course, I expect it to be even more physical because now cheat shots they were doing during practice that we have rules and stuff. Like, nah, we know the rules. Like, it is what it is. As long as it's between the white lines, we can do whatever. So I feel like it could be a lot more physical Friday.
Saints head coach Dennis Allen.
Yeah, I thought it's a little hotter today than it was yesterday. You know, we got a little light on the offensive line. They got a really good front, and so it led to some challenges in terms of protection. But I thought our guys fought. I thought our guys battled through. Look, second day, you know, everybody goes in and they get coached up a little bit. They come out with a little bit more fire the next day. You don't like seeing it, but it's part of what happens in these practices when you're going against another team. So we dealt with it. We moved on from it, and I thought we had a couple of good days of work.
Packers rookie outside linebacker J.J. Enikbari is emerging as a backup candidate behind Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary.
I feel like I had pretty solid, 2 solid days, and definitely a lot of stuff I can work on, hand placement and stuff like that, just being more aggressive on my strike. But overall, pretty good solid days.
Packers head coach Matt LaFleur.
Certainly there's some things that we have to clean up from an operations standpoint, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. But I thought really the guys competed hard, and I thought it was productive practice.
That's Matt LaFleur. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. Glad you're with us today. We are broadcasting live for those that are watching over on the Bud Light live stream. We're at the Luxe Golf Bays. It just opened. We are in Franklin, Wisconsin. And, oh, my God, what a beautiful place. Obviously, the ski hill off into the distance there, but where we are perched in the 3rd floor mezzanine area, my goodness, it's a spectacular view, a great day to be hitting some golf shots. Some really good food, too. I didn't even mention that, but they have great food up here. They've got burgers and they're shareables, so to speak. They've got street tacos and chicken and shrimp, short rib tacos, shrimp tempura, Boston lettuce wraps, all kinds of stuff. So if you're going to come here, they not only have, obviously Bud Light on tap, but they have some really good food, and you got the ability for some golf. And as we've been showing you throughout the day, not only out into the driving range area, but as you look down along the stand here where the people are, the bays are huge. And that's only half of the building. The other half is just as big. TVs everywhere. So if you're going to come here tomorrow night during the grand opening and the fireworks display, don't worry about missing the Packer game because you're going to see that here as well. Some interesting news today. Don't forget that you've got Deshaun Watson gets an 11-game suspension and a $5 million fine. And this will settle all the appeals and everything. This is it. So this is pretty much done. It was interesting. Andrew Brandt earlier today said, when you put all of this together, it's pretty stifling. The settlements relating to Deshaun Watson's behavior, there were 24 civil suits with massage therapists. 24 civil suits. There were 30 civil suits with massage therapists that were against the Texans organizations as well. That had to be settled. He only gets an 11-game suspension, $5 million fine by the NFL. And then the quote is, "What a tangled web he wove." And already reaction is coming in that this is far too light of a penalty, but it's probably the best they could work out between the two sides. The NFL at least saves a little bit of face. Meanwhile, Deshaun Watson, by the way, has not admitted to anything. He's really not admitted to anything. He's going to lose $650,000 via his salary this year. That's it. And the $5 million. He has said, "I apologize once again for any pain this situation has caused." And then he went on to say the reason he's apologizing is because so many people were, quote, triggered by this. It's you just shake your head. You really do. You really just shake your head. That's the big news of the day, short of the fact that the Big Ten got a $7 billion deal done with NBC, CBS, and Fox. Oh, my goodness. When we come back, we've got Brian Gutekunst, Joe Barry, the defensive coordinator. Oh, we got a lot more Packers coverage for you. Broadcasting live at Luxe Bay Golf Suites here in Franklin. Oh, my goodness. Great place to be. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers have fallen a season-high 3 games out of first place in the NL Central. That's after falling 2-1 to the Dodgers last night. LA's Tony Gonsolin didn't allow a hit until the 5th inning and ended up giving up just 2 on the night over 7 innings of work. Struck out 8, earned his 15th win. Milwaukee was able to cut the Dodgers' lead in half of the 8th inning with a Christian Yelich single off of Caleb Ferguson. Crew then managed to get the tying run into scoring position in the 9th before Craig Kimbrell got Luis Urias to ground out to end things. The lack of offense wasted a solid night from Eric Lowry. Made 2 mistakes that turned into solo home runs, but did end up going 7 innings. Brewers will look to salvage a split of the 4-game series today at American Family Field. Corbin Burns on the mound for the Crew. Dodgers send Andrew Haney. First pitch is coming up at 1:10.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Packers closed out the public portion of training camp yesterday as they faced the Saints for a 2nd day in a row. Now they get ready to face them tomorrow night in preseason action at Lambeau Field. Meanwhile, the team claimed wide receiver Travis Fulgham off of waivers from Denver. It's his 2nd time with the team after spending 9 days with the club back in 2020. Turning to college football, the Big Ten announced its new media rights deal this morning. They partner with Fox, CBS, NBC, and Peacock for 7 years. Get to see between $7 to $8 billion in the deal, with the potential for more as the league is reportedly not done expanding. As for the Badgers, they're going to be getting their season going soon, just 2 weeks from Saturday against Illinois State. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Welcome into the final hour of the Bill Michaels Show. We are at the Luxe Golf Bay's beautiful facility here in Franklin, Wisconsin. And I was looking forward to this all week long. I mean, I love the cigar dinners and such, don't get me wrong. But to open this new facility today, as they're not even officially fully open. Tomorrow is the grand opening here at Luxe Bay's. And to get here early this morning, get a few swings in was fantastic. This is such a cool place, and this area continues to expand. So Thanks to Mike Zimmerman and company, not only for having us here today, but also for hosting the first stop, the police escorted stop on our motorcycle ride benefiting Fisher House, Wisconsin. The Rock Complex means the Return on Community, ROC, by the way. And they do a lot community-based down here. So thanks to them for having us. Thanks to them for being a part of the program. And thanks to them, certainly, for supporting our veterans, military members, and their families. And we can't appreciate it enough. In the meantime, the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, Joe Barry. We're going to hear from Brian Gutekunst coming up in a little bit. Also, what Randall Cobb had to say and answering the question about is tough love warranted and appreciated by the young receiving corps when Aaron Rodgers decides to speak up. We'll get into that discussion as well. But we have not heard a lot from the defensive coordinator, Joe Barry. And he's at the podium. I wanted to dip in and take a listen to what Joe Barry has to say. Let's do that now.
At Wisconsin and works for the football team. So Rod went to Madison and saw the Badgers practice on Monday, and then he's been here the last 2 days with us. So it's been great having him around.
Was he as impressed by the way you guys got after the Saints as the rest of us watching?
Yeah, the big thing we're looking for right now, guys, is just, I think the thing I've been really most pleased with, not only the last 2 days, but all of camp, we've talked about playing with great effort all the time, not a sometimes thing, but an all the time thing. And, our 16th and 17th practice against the Saints, guys, they played hard and they played fast and they played physical. And that's the thing that I'm looking for right now. And they did that. So it was good to see.
Joe Matt has talked a lot about how the edge rusher spots, specifically 3 through 5, are wide open. What have you seen from some of those guys the last couple of days specifically? It looked like Anagberry and Kobe Jones were
sure
active.
I'm not going to get into specifics, but I think it's the thing that you love about training camp, hopefully, is competition. And, of course, we got 2 great ones in Preston and Rashawn. But after that, it's competitive. We got, and you could say that with every room on the defense. You can say that with every room on our team. But training camp and the preseason is about competition, and because you start with 90 and you end up with 53. So it's and every single day has been competitive, and it's we still got another week and a half left, and it's going to go right down to the wire. But it's been great competition at I know on our side of the ball in every single room. It's going to go down to the final discussion that we have. But that's what training camp should be. That's what you want, and we definitely got it.
Hey Joe, how has Rasul acclimated himself to that slot position? Do you think?
I think you guys have all gotten to know Rasul. He has such a great feel. He's such an instinctual and aware football player. I think you could put Sewell anywhere in the back end and he'd just find a way. Obviously the nickel corner position is unique. It's different. It's different playing inside than outside, but he's done a phenomenal job. And, we still are, we'll put Ja in there. Was getting a lot of work in there before, he got the hamstring on fit. Again, both sides of the ball. These rookies come in here, and it's literally like they're learning a new language. I mean, it's like going to a different country and learning a new language. So I think all of our guys, their heads were swimming, especially, in OTAs, but then to get, reacquainted with everything when we take 6 weeks off, then we come back to camp. So I think a lot of those guys, some guys, it happens a little bit quicker to get their feet underneath them and for it to click. And I think a number of guys, we're in the 4th week of training camp right now, so it's starting to click, which is great.
Coming into camp, it seemed like the starting line at pretty much every position was pretty settled, returning a lot of guys, a lot of familiarity with you, and then kind of developing depth behind that. How much does that kind of strike you to balance, coaching those guys to come together at the top, but building that depth? Does that require 2 different approaches? How do you balance that?
Well, I've told you guys before, we kind of take the approach that, we're going to coach everyone exactly the same. And it's going to be detailed. It's going to be hard. It's going to be demanding. And it doesn't matter if you're, a starter, an established starter, or if you're, crack the starting lineup, or you're a guy that's a backup, or a guy that's, maybe going to be a practice squad player for us. We're going to take that approach the way we're going to handle everyone exactly the same. And of course, you can only have 11 guys out on the field. And in training camp, if you're on the field, if you're in the huddle, you're a starter, and play like it. We're going to coach you like it. So, because I've told you, once we get in the season, we have 11 starters, and we have 11 starters in waiting. We don't have backups. So I think when you take that approach, if guys really buy into it, they can maximize who they are. And, so far we're doing that right now. So it's been great.
Really quiet rookie season. Seems to be showing up a lot more this year. Is there anything beyond just the traditional year 1 to year 2 thing with him that you're seeing in terms of how he's gotten to this point?
Yeah, I think it's every guy's different. Some guys come in as rookies, and it doesn't matter, draft status or where they were drafted. Some guys just come in and handle things a little faster. Some guys, it takes a little bit more time. And I think it's a great lesson that I know I learned as a young coach, that a lot of times when an individual comes in and struggles, a lot of times you're like, oh God, he can't, and then it takes some guys a little bit longer. And I think Isaiah, you can make that case with a number of guys, but they come in year 2, they're hearing the same thing again. They're going through that installation again. They're hearing, the same defense a second time in a second year. Went through, we had a full off season this year. And I think that's something that is really not talked about enough. The last couple of years, with everything that was going on, we didn't have off seasons. We had kind of a partial off season last year. So, when you really look at second and third year guys this year, this is the first true off season that they've had. And the off season is vital to a player's development, and both from a skill development, but then the understanding of a package, the understanding of a philosophy, the understanding of a defense. So it's great to see, the work with all of our assistant coaches that they've done with these guys, because we had a full off season. And I think you're seeing, like a guy like that, he's having some success, because he had, 9 OTA days under his belt. He had a full 10-week off season in addition to this being his second training camp. So it's exciting to see.
Where can Jaron Reed help you the most this year, and healthy Jaron Reed? And, do you consider him a classic three-technique type guy who can, help you have passing and on rundowns, or where do you think he helps you the most?
Well, the thing with Jay Reed is that, he's played a lot of football, and he's played a lot of football at a high level. He had a number of, I don't know if he had a Pro Bowl season in Seattle, but I know he had a 10 sack year, which for interior guys to get double-digit sacks, that's pretty impressive. And then, went and played good football in Kansas City as well. So I think he brings a lot to the table, just as not only a veteran, but a veteran that's played at a high level. And, we're going to move him all over we're going to put him everywhere. I think he's a guy that if he was in a true 4-3 system, I think he could be a stereotypical 3 technique, but he can play up and down the line. He can play, over a center, he can play over a guard, he can play over a tackle. We call it, 1 technique, 3 technique, 5 technique. He's talented enough. He can do all those things. And then just what he brings us, in the run game, obviously playing those different techniques on first and second down, he brings us another great aspect on third down where he can, affect the passer and rush the quarterback. So really glad that he's here. Obviously he's going to help us a lot.
Now that you've seen Quay in a football setting a lot more than the last time we talked to you, how does having him and grouping him with Devondre open up possibilities for you with creativity with your defense?
It's great. He's just, again, I'll give you the same thing. He's a young player. Every day is a new day, but you can see, the more we get into this, the lights, starts to come on. And, even though he's an incredibly talented kid, he has unbelievable physical, gifts. He's still a guy that, I'll use the same analogy. He's learning a new language right now, but incredibly talented. Him and, I've bragged on our veteran players a lot with you guys. And I think it's so great for a guy like D. Wyatt to come in and be around a Kenny Clark. It's so great for, Tariq to come in and have Savage and, Smash. It's incredible for a guy like Quay to be able to sit in a meeting every day with Devondre Campbell. That veteran leadership that not only are those guys great players, they're great guys, and they have just such a wealth of knowledge that they're willing to share and help and, bring along. And I think, Dre's been great for the daily development of Quay. It's been awesome.
There you go. That is Joe Barry, defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, talking a lot about his guys and how they're going to look, some of the places. And again, a lot of the conversation revolving around Rasul Douglas and what he's going to add depth-wise to that defense as well. Really, I don't want to say turning heads because he turned heads last year, but, as far as solidifying himself, it seems like he's done fantastic as far as the respect factor goes for Rasul Douglas. You liked when they brought him in, didn't you, Ben?
Oh, yeah, I loved it. And, part of that was my biased sense of seeing him win a Super Bowl in Philly.
Right.
But it seemed like no risk, and then I've seen him play really good football in the past, and it clearly came to fruition.
Do you think he ups his numbers of interceptions from last year to this year?
No, I think they drop, if anything. And he might have a more productive season in terms of the scheme of the defense, but it's so hard to repeat those interception numbers because they're based off so many different things. And I like to connect a lot of it back to college, but like the Iowa Hawkeyes are a great defense at forcing turnovers and intercepting the ball. But a lot of that also is you kind of run into some luck. You have maybe poor quarterback play that leads to it. So it's really hard to replicate that year to year.
They're looking at, I don't know how to do this. I talked about that earlier with Rasul Douglas. I think he's really solid. He's going to get a lot of playing time. He's going to be a nickel guy. When it comes to interceptions, I want to see him do and replicate close to what he did last year. And that's when I go, oh, okay. Yeah, that's the real deal. He's earned every penny of that because he'd been a little sporadic to that point. He's played well at times, but now he's going to get a full dose of playing time, and I want to see how he does. Not that I don't believe in him. It's just that yet I want to, and I'm sitting back right now with my arms folded saying, show it to me again and make me a believer. That's kind of how I approach Rasul Douglas. So when we come back, Brian Gutekunst, the general manager of your Green Bay Packers. You're going to hear that conversation. A lot of guys talking today, and you need to take a listen to what all it is they have to say. Also, Randall Cobb was asked, is it a well-received message if Aaron Rodgers kind of chews some ass? We're going to get his reaction. He didn't hold back. We're going to get his reaction to that when we come back. Stay tuned. Broadcasting live down here at the Luxe Golf Bays. We're in Franklin, Wisconsin. We are brought to you by our good friends at Stoley's Hog Alley and Stoles Old 109. If you're going to get out and about this weekend, good fish fry at Stoley's Hog Alley on a Friday. Man, the fish fry is fantastic there. Not to mention just good hospitality, but they're still in the process of remodeling, and it's going to be done hopefully here in maybe a month, less than a month. But that being said, they're still really good people, and you want to go and support the smaller local businesses. And he's been there a long time, and because of your support, they're able to renovate, remodel, and expand, and that's exactly what they're doing. Whether it's Stoley's Hog Alley in Summit and Oconomowoc or Stoles Old 109 up in Watertown, either place, both great places to go to. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. How we looking? Bill Michaels Show. You know, one of the fascinating things, we're sitting here at the Luxe Golf Bays and down here in Franklin, Wisconsin, and they have a soft opening right now, but starting tomorrow, the grand opening hits, and they're going to have fireworks and everything down here. It's going to be a spectacular display. I don't know why I'm fascinated by it. As a kid, Ben, now, did you ever, I would assume you maybe did. I don't know. Do you ever remember going to the vet, or was the vet torn down before you became capable of understanding where you were at?
I have gone multiple times. I cannot say I remember it.
Okay. I remember as a kid when the Reds would play in Cincinnati, I lived for rain delays. I loved it. I loved a rain delay because I'd run up top. I'd sit under the big, canopy that leaned out way over the upper deck stands. I'd watch it rain. I loved it because I couldn't wait for it to stop raining so I could watch the Zambonis come out and suck the water out of the AstroTurf and then go squirt it over the outfield fence. Okay, I've always been fascinated by it. I love in between hockey periods when the Zambonis come out and they do the ice. I don't know why. I've always had that and I'm weird this way. Anybody that knows me really well knows if you ever come to my house, I am really anal about vacuum lines. Ben, do you vacuum your apartment very often, or you have hardwood floors?
Both. I do vacuum, and I also do have floors. I cannot say I'm very anal about the lines.
Oh, I'm anal about the lines. Everything has to be symmetrical, one after the other. You leave the pattern, the whole thing. I've always found it fascinating. Okay, I don't know why, but I have. And so I'm sitting here today, and if you're watching on the Bud Light live stream, you know what I'm talking about because it's way off into the distance right now. But here at the Luxe Golf Bays, all the golf balls are dotting. It's really kind of tough to see, I think, on the Bud Light live stream, but the golf balls are dotting the black and the green and so everything out there. And because you can see where all the golf balls are. But I am fascinated when that little tractor comes out with that golf ball scoop on the front. And because this is all turf, it's field turf. It's not real grass. It's all turf out in front of us. It scoops the balls up. And in doing so, it also leaves like vacuum tracks where the front end of this tractor scoops up the golf balls. It leaves like vacuum tracks. And this is like the third time it's come out today. I am overwhelmingly fascinated by this thing. Scooping up the balls and making it look like somebody went out there and vacuumed the fairway. That is do you see it? There it is, crossing the Bud Light live stream. It's got this long scoop out in front of it that catches the golf balls, rolls them up, and then flings them into this basket. And like a Zamboni, it goes over the areas that it has not gotten yet. And as it does, it scoops up the balls and it kind of fluffs the carpeting. It fluffs the turf. I'm fascinated by it. Stupid thing. It's like I'm a dog looking out the window right now, fascinated by watching the garbage men go by. But in doing so, I'm sitting here fascinated by the little golf ball scoop thing. I don't know. Weird stuff excites me. So anyway, that being said, this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at J&L Tire Service, who probably don't want to pay for this portion of the program at this point, but Lyle and his staff. Lyle donated not only some time and some money, but his trailer and a lot of different stuff to help us out for the Fisher House golf outing coming up. And he's tremendous. I've said for a long time, they're great people. They're great philanthropists in the community. They're just off of 94 in the Johnson Creek exit, also up in Watertown as well. That's jandltire.com. And whether it's a little minivan and you want to get an oil change, or you're driving around in a big rig and you need some work done, they can help you out, and they handle it all. Huge facility out there just north of 94 in Johnson Creek. Stop in and tell them we said hi. So Randall Cobb was asked, hey, look, Aaron Rodgers, he had the meeting. He was a little outspoken about the wide receiving core, about some of the young guys, the mistakes that are being made. Is it good? And is it well received when, for lack of a better term, Rodgers kind of gets in people's asses? Here's what he had to say.
It doesn't matter if they appreciate it or not. This is the way that we do things here. So it's either you get with it or you get out the room, and we'll find somebody else that's going to get on board with what we're trying to accomplish.
So Randall Cobb not holding back. I thought when that question was answered or was asked, I thought he would say, well, he's just trying to give him tutelage and he's trying to get you. No, it's like you either get on the page or get out. Get on the page or get out. Here's what Randall Cobb had to say as to whether or not, the statement of Aaron Rodgers and talking about the wide receiving core and talking about what's going on. And, I don't want to say necessarily building frustration, but, with what he's going through right now on Rodgers' statement as to whether or not it will actually change things when it comes to guys working a little bit harder, paying more attention to crisp routes and such.
What do you mean? There's only one goal. There's only one goal, and that's to bring a championship back here. And we're going to need those guys. They're going to be they're going to play a huge role in what we're trying to accomplish this season. And we have to make sure that they're up to speed. And I think at this point, the comments that he made yesterday was just about the urgency. There has to be an urgency in what you're doing and getting up to speed to get to where we're trying to go.
I like that. And he's right. There's a sense of urgency. Usually when it comes to rookies and it comes to young wide receivers and it comes to offensive players, you know what? You get with the program, you'll get in eventually. Because we've got such a depth and a dearth of talent, it doesn't matter. But now, no, there's a sense of urgency. Why? Because we all know the light at the end of the tunnel is becoming brighter. And because you lose Devontae Adams, now Randall Cobb's still very solid, but I've said it, before, I'll say it again. Randall Cobb is an injury waiting to happen. And whether it's 2 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, at some point it is. Allen Lazard's good. He's not great. Could he be a number one? As a crisp route runner, I'm sure he could. But I don't know if people in the league are looking at him going, I got to have this guy on my team as a number one. Otherwise there would have been a deal at some point done for Allen Lazard's talents. It's just there's a lot of question marks, and I understand that. But Randall Cobb is 100% correct. There's a sense of urgency this season because you don't know what next season holds, so you have to go for it now. So I completely get where he's coming from, without a doubt. By the way, the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Dodgers today in the finale, in the 4-game finale down there at American Family Field. Brewers up with an Andrew McCutchen home run, 1-0 right now. That's in the bottom of the first as we speak. Brewers got a runner on. And a 2 out at the bottom of the I take that back. It just went to a break. So they are now up 1-0 after 1 inning of play. When we come back, Brian Gutekunst, the general manager for your Green Bay Packers, you're going to hear his discussion about the talent and the direction the team is going at this point as well. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends Marcus, Nicole, and the entire staff of the Wrestling Taco. They are in West Allis, Wisconsin, just a couple of blocks south on 84th Street. Of the Wisconsin State Fair Park. Stop in and get some of the walking tacos. Maybe even catch the game later on this afternoon. You go in, you sit in the theater seating, get a couple of tacos, maybe a good margarita, sit down, watch some sports. Maybe tomorrow night, that Packers game, if you're looking for something to eat and to do during the game, good stuff. That's our friends at the Wrestling Taco in West Allis. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Mountain Dew Pull Tab Game is your chance to win an adventure-ready Winnebago Revel from Quick Trip. Go off-road and off-grid with a fully equipped Winnebago Revel by playing in your Quick Rewards app. Earn extra plays by purchasing participating Mountain Dew, Muscle Milk, or Evolve beverages with Quick Rewards. Adventure begins where the pavement ends with Quick Trip and Mountain Dew. Download the Quick Rewards app today. No purchase necessary. See quicktrip.com/sweepstakes for details.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play stages of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. With teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Phil Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery. Oh, so good. So good. Tonight, the only night I'm not traveling, I got some work to do when I get home, yard work and stuff like that. I got to take care of. We'll be watching the Brewers game as well. And tonight, it is going to be a patio time. Nice night tonight. And checking out the bottle of Moscato that I have left from Forgotten Fire Winery. I can't wait. Looking forward to it. If you're in Peshtigo, stop by the winery. Stop by the winery and say hi to Chris and Melissa and everybody there. And also don't forget that if you ask for the Bill Michaels deal, they have some special offers there for you that you can grab. So it's worth your while if you're in the area to stop in and just say, hey, Bill Michaels sent me. And they'll go, oh, okay, here you go. And there's some specials up there, so don't forget about that. But look for Forgotten Fire Winery, based right here in Wisconsin, Peshtigo, Wisconsin. Forgotten Fire Winery, and ask for it by name. Go into your local grocery stores, liquor stores, wine stores. And if not, just go online. Forgotten, Forgotten, ForgottenFireWinery.com. That's ForgottenFireWinery.com. There you go. I'll say this. Ben, I was talking to you, kind of going back and forth with you during the break. I'm mesmerized by this little tractor that's picking up the balls. And I know you said that you'd have to pick out some of your clubs and start going after this thing. I don't know. I don't think you can hear it in the background, but every now and then you'll hear this pow. And that's what they're all doing. And there's not a ton of people up here, but probably out of the, 30 bays they have up here, maybe 10 are full. And they're all aiming at this person. There's some dude driving it around, in the cage, but they're all aiming at this guy, man. And every now and then you'll hear this pow, and it scares the hell out of you, but it's because they hit the windshield. This poor guy. Yeah, that's the one job. Go ahead.
It's like a mascot in a dunk tank.
Yes.
It's like you're at a fair. You're not going to do anything except for try to get this poor person making like $4 an hour wet. And that's the same deal.
It reminds me years ago, Family Guy, when Chris, Peter Griffin's son, was a ball getter at a driving range, and they strapped 2 mattresses to him, tied him around him, and all the people were aiming at the short fat kid. And the amount of money the guy started making at the golf range went way up because they hired Chris in 2 mattresses strapped to him in the front and the back and a catcher's mask to run out there and start getting the stray golf balls. That's hilarious, but that's exactly what's going on down here. It's really,
what a
really
show.
Cool. Yeah, it's great. And you can hear people, I almost got him. Oh my God, I almost got him. And then, in the meantime, they're checking out their swing rates and their swing speeds and all that kind of stuff. But it's, somebody just hit him over there. I don't know if you heard it. Somebody just hit him. Doink. And what they did, they don't even think they took a swing. I just think they threw the ball over the edge because he was coming in after finally vacuuming the carpet out there. Oh, my goodness. It's awesome. Brian Gutekunst, general manager for your Green Bay Packers. He took to the podium just a few ago. So out of all the people we've listened to, this is one of the interesting ones. Says he's made a couple of moves. Here's Brian Gutekunst, Packers general manager.
I think 25th training camp. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it.
Rather have some dog days?
No. Me individually? No. For the team? Yeah, I mean, sometimes that just stresses them a little bit in a good way. But to me, when you get overheated like that, sometimes injuries become into play. So I'm kind of glad that we've had what we've had.
How'd you work it out with the weather gods?
Right? Yeah. I don't know if I knew that, wouldn't be here.
Brian, you gonna look at Travis for more than a week this time, or?
Obviously he knows our system a little bit, and then he was in Denver, and so obviously going into these last 2 preseason games, we needed some numbers, and so we were having a guy like him available to us who actually knows a lot of what we're doing was nice.
At cornerback, what do you think of the depth you have there? Obviously, your front three are as good as it gets, but with Shamar and etc., what do you think you might have there?
Yeah, I think those guys have done a nice job so far. I think this between the San Francisco game and then these 2 practices and then tomorrow night's game, I think it's a pretty good window of evaluation and competition. So they've done a nice job. Certainly Sherman's grown a lot, which is nice to see. Got a couple of new guys in there that I think are feeling their way around here. But I like them. They're all a little shorter than what I'm used to, but I like their aggressiveness and the way they play.
Yeah, last year you had a revolving door guys at that position coming in basically every week. You tried someone new, but but you've stuck with this group basically. Is that a sign that you like what you might have there?
I do like what we have there. I think not only on defense, but I think they all provide some, an impact on special teams. So again, you guys know we're always going to be kind of churning in a little bit, but I like what they help us.
At what point do you have a feel for if you can do that right away as in real games?
Yeah, I think it's he's had a bunch of nice days here over the past week. I think you got to keep stacking those good days, and I think as these guys learn to be professionals and play at our level, it's all about the consistency. Not just doing it one day, but being able to do it every day. I think once you start to see that, and we've seen that the past few days, which is really nice. But once you see that game to game, practice to practice, and I think you start having more faith in that they could do that on Sundays every week. But he's done a nice job. I think he's got a bright future. We're excited about him.
Along those consistency lines, when you look at Romeo's camp, he probably leads your offense in splash plays and drops. It's pretty rare for a rookie receiver to come in and contribute right away. How far or close is he to being able to do that?
Yeah, obviously for a young player, he's had an outstanding first training camp, which is really good to see. I think last time I talked, I think as you go through training camp, as many as I've been through, you see, guys will start out, and then as you get to a certain point, the physical toll, the mental toll, you play a little bit, and they usually have there's little dips. And so I think a lot of our players, not just the young guys, but even some of the veterans have had some of that as the training camp has gone on. But again, we're always looking for that consistency, right? And I think that's you can make too much of the evaluation process in training camp because a lot of times this is just working to that point, But certainly Romeo has shown enough in his brief time here that we think he can help us.
Speaking of evaluation, with the Saints being in here, I know a few years ago there was maybe one critic of, but did you guys tweak last year and this year how you did them to make them more productive? Like I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but with Chuck Pagano's brother being on Houston's staff, maybe you guys weren't able to get as much done offensively in his quarterback's opinion. Did you feel like you got as much as you can out of joint practices these 2 days?
I thought it was 2 really good days of work. I think it probably goes really a lot to not only the 2 teams, but their coaching staffs as well, just because I think being prepared and organized as you head into these things, I think is really important, and knowing what you want to get out of it. And then being able to adjust kind of in practice and how things are going and what you need to get out of it. So, I thought the atmosphere was great. I mean, having the amount of fans we had out there, I think is really helpful for both teams. And then I just think the controlled environment against, another opponent is really, really good for our players. So I think we got a lot out of it. And it'll be good to see these guys kind of let it loose on Friday. But I think these 2 days, we'd love to have more of these if we had the time, because I just think it's really good work. And certainly from an evaluator's perspective, having another group of 90 players out there is always not only just evaluating their guys, but just kind of stacking them up and see how you stack up against them. I think is a nice couple of days for us.
With Colby Jones, you signed him after that rookie camp. I guess what did you see during those 2 days, and how have you seen him progress to a guy who was in that 2-minute drill the other day?
Yeah, he's done a nice job. Again, I think he's making the most of his opportunities, and that's good to see. I think he plays with a pretty good edge to him. And again, these guys are learning, and so there's going to be days where the learning part gets him, and then there's other days where it kind of clicks for him. And then he's had a couple of nice days here over the past week.
There was a camp in 07 where I was kind of surprised that Robert Ferguson and Ted, I think, came out and said, we're going to let this guy give him a chance to catch on with somebody else because you had James Jones in camp. Are there times you can do that in the middle of a camp? Rather than keep a veteran around another couple of weeks, move on, or maybe you need the time to do injury settlement? Are those kinds of considerations take part?
Yeah, I think it's case by case. I think certainly if you have a veteran player that you come to a point where you don't think he's going to be, part of you moving forward, I think the right thing to do is if you think they're going to have an opportunity somewhere else, is to give them that opportunity. Most of the time, with injuries and all the different things that come into play when you're picking a roster, I think you usually don't have that luxury. But if you do, I think it's the right thing to do.
There you go. That's the Packers general manager, Brian Gutekunst, and some of the things he had to say about his team and about the joint practices, some of the players they have picked up, and some of the roster moves that they have made. Once again, we are broadcasting live down here at the Luxe Golf Bays, which are beautiful. It's fantastic, and you've been looking at it, and obviously you're looking down the row now, and you can see a lot of the people that are here and kind of the setup here up on the third floor. And in the meantime, you've got the actual bay that is the driving range sitting out in front of us. You've been paying attention to and watching the cart go back and forth and vacuum the carpet and pick up all the golf balls. It's been really fun to sit here all day and kind of watch all of this take place. Don't forget, coming up tomorrow is the actual grand opening, and that is going to take place all day tomorrow. But tomorrow night they have got an event here where starting about 7 o'clock, they're going to have fireworks tomorrow night. They're going to have food tomorrow night. They're going to have beverages tomorrow night. Packers game is going to be on. So don't forget to come out here to the Luxe Golf Bays and enjoy yourself here in Franklin, Wisconsin at the Rock Complex. Let's do this. Let's step away, take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll also hear from Mike Clemens when we come back before we wrap things up here at the Bill Michaels Show here in Franklin, Wisconsin. Be back right after this.
Covering like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Are you a gold breaker? Play your favorite games at Potawatomi Sunday afternoons now through September, and you could win your share of $1 million in prizes. Break the code, win the $10,000 top jackpot, and everyone playing slots also wins a prize. Again and again. Do you have the golden touch? Gold Breaker, only at Potawatomi. Visit paysbig.com/goldbreaker for more. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers are making more roster moves before tomorrow night's preseason game here at Lambeau Field against the Saints. Green Bay has re-signed receiver Travis Fulgham, who was in their training camp for a brief time in 2020, then went on to lead the Eagles in yards receiving that season. They've waived Malik Taylor, who's been hampered by a shoulder injury. Taylor beat out Jake Kummerow for a roster spot back in 2019. The Saints got back their top receiver, Michael Thomas, after spending the past year recovering from ankle surgery.
The program that the teams had me on with Coach DA and the training staff that they've had me on, it's really allowed me to start slowly transitioning and getting back to my old self and getting the flow for the game. And being out here in these joint practices allows me to compete against another guy, work on some technique, and just get back to the real thing.
Aaron Rodgers was critical of the Packers' young receivers on Tuesday. Randall Cobb on what the quarterback was referring to.
It's about taking what you learn in the meetings and applying it in an individual to the team periods and seeing that natural progression. And once we get into the preseason game, doing the same thing we talked about and seeing it, because the film doesn't lie. When you watch the film, you see it. It's either you.
Matt LaFleur on what needs to be addressed on the Packers offense.
There's going to be growing pains, particularly with younger players. And the thing is, and I appreciate this about Aaron, it's just the urgency to get some of this stuff corrected. I mean, you can't make the same mistake twice. Not in this league. We don't have time for it.
That's Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Glad to have you. Final segment of the program before we get out of here. Got to say thanks to our friends at Milwaukee Bed Bug Pros. Don't let the term Milwaukee fool you, because they do it in a lot of different areas, not just Milwaukee. But if you got the bed bugs, you don't want the bed bugs. If you don't have them, you want to be preventative. Say you own a residential or a townhome. Say you own a multi-unit apartment building, a condo, a dorm room. Say you're in hotels, motels, resorts, medical facilities, daycares. You don't want the creepy crawlies floating around, especially that's your business. So get a hold of our friends Michael and the gang over at MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. Call them 414-877-5811. 414-877-5811. They can help you out. Again, 414-877-5811. What happened?
So Dodgers Brewers going on right now.
Right.
And this just crossed. I felt like we need to make a mention. A video surfaced from the broadcast yesterday of one of the TV guys, not the play-by-play, but one of their Dodger local TV guys going down the Bernie Brewer slide in left field at American Family Field. And he crashes into the padded wall at the bottom, carrying probably a little bit too much speed,
right?
And doubled over in pain. And I thought he was joking. He is now, back at work, obviously today, with a massive cast on his right arm. He broke his wrist trying to do the Bernie Brewer slide.
First of all, that's atrocious. You feel bad that he broke his wrist. Okay. Second of all, that's atrocious. You go down a slide as a kid. You understand what a slide's all about. Holy mackerel, he broke his wrist. Then that explains the did you see the Bernie Brewer post from the Brewers? Sign of the day? It's Bernie Brewer squatting at the crash site, which, by the way, they have since taped it off like the body crashed up against the wall. And it says 0 days since our last accident. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. Why would they post something like that? And now that explains it. That explains it. I get why. That's funny stuff. He ended up. I shouldn't laugh. So he broke his wrist, but I shouldn't laugh.
I don't know if I have more respect for what Bernie Brewer does, or if this thing in left field, the slide, clearly a big part of. If it should come under review for safety violations.
One, I don't think it will, but I did it. I did the slide like it was opening weekend, the very first weekend that it was in Miller Park. Miller Park opened. A lot of us in the media had a chance to do it and go down the slide and hang out. And I'll tell you this: if you got vertigo or anything, you're afraid of heights. That's not a place to be. And I'm a little afraid of heights, but when you get there, you're way up. I mean, you're high up, man. It takes a little bit. It takes a little intestinal fortitude to walk to the railing and look and be able to look over that railing and see what's going on. So, real quick before we get out of here, and I know we got a few technical things going on, so it's probably a good time. We're just about ready to end the program. However, you got the Brewers right now, top of the third, 1-0. Corbin Burns on the hill and holding the Dodgers to only a couple of hits so far. The Brewers have one hit, but it's an Andrew McCutchen solo shot. Speaking of home runs, 690. The Cardinals walloping the Rockies right now. Bottom of the fifth, it is 12-0. Albert Pujols is 1 for 1, and he hit in his first at bat, number 690. He hit a grand salami. So the Brewers need this one because you don't want to fall 4 games back. No, maybe not. Got to get this one because the Cardinals, they are beating the hell out of the Rockies. 12-0. 12-0. It's only in the bottom of the fifth. There you have it. Hey, thanks to the staff and management here on site at the Luxe Golf Bays. Oh, my goodness. What a beautiful facility. If you're in Franklin, I can't encourage you enough to come down here and check this out. But we're going to get out of here. Time for us to go. Have a good one. Swoop!